Welcome to QNN Sports. I'm Zack Collura, joined today by a senior on the Quinnipiac women's rugby team, Jessica Maricich. Jessica, thanks for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's start right there, rugby. What got you into this sport?
I'm actually one of the more unusual stories. Most of my teammates played in high school or did club as they were growing up. I'm from Illinois, and rugby is not huge in the Midwest. So in high school, I swam and did track. And it was at my last track meet of the year that a rugby coach from a different school recruited me. And honestly, I had no intention of playing rugby ever in my life or in college. But I liked what the coach had to say, so I followed him to a school in Illinois. And fortunately, that didn't work out, so I transferred here to Quinnipiac. And I've been loving my 3 years here playing under Coach Carlson and then with all the teammates that I've had over the years.
So switching over from other sports, was it a difficult transition for you?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Some sports, because we have another athlete on the team actually. She played basketball, Mika Mabels. She played basketball, and a lot of those skills I felt like are transferable. Both sports have a ball. I did swimming and track, which is more of an individual sport, and no ball involved, obviously, if you're aware of those. But really what it comes down to, I mean, rugby, it's an amazing game, and I very much fell in love with it. It's for good athletes who want to work hard and want to learn the sport. So my first year or so, I struggled because I had to pick up on all the rules. But at the end of the day, every day at practice, I just worked my hardest and learned from my teammates. And I like to think I've become a relatively good player because of it.
So your first year at the school, the team wins the national championship. Tell me what that was like.
Amazingly overwhelming. I can still remember the final seconds during the game. Our captain at the time, Maggie Miles, she was asking the official like how much time was left in the game because we had already realized that the clock was wrong. She was like, how much time left? How much time left? And at that point, it was only a few seconds. So when she got the ball, she kicked it out of bounds. It was the final whistle, and we all just converge onto each other, tears, screaming because we're all so excited, and just honestly just hugs constantly. I couldn't tell you like who I was talking to at any point of it because we were all just overwhelmed with the joy and pride that we felt making it that far, because that was the game against Army, and it was a tough game. It was a brutal game, and also a very physical game, but we ended up coming out on top and couldn't be happier.
In speaking to a lot of the coaches and players on the team, everyone speaks about this bond that the team seems to share. How quickly did that form for you with the other players?
Like it is going to be for any team, you're going to connect with some people faster than others. But one thing that the team culture and standards that we have during preseason, during like I'll say the first month, that's what the focus is on. Because you can only play well on the fields together if you trust everyone that's around you. So during practices, we always, of course, work hard. Everything you do is to better yourself and to better the team. And if everyone is able to have that attitude, then we're going to be successful always. And then after every practice, more or less, we try and always like have lunch or breakfast together, and those bonds just form, and it makes the entire experience better.
And it's clear that those bonds have led to success for the program. So after winning that first national championship, did you expect to win another one?
Partially. You get a little cocky after that first happens, and we knew we couldn't. You can never expect to just get something. You have to earn it. You have to work hard for it. And we knew that that was going to be a struggle that the team was going to have. We had more than a couple of conversations about it. One of our players, Taylor Schuschler, used to always say, is that every game it's his own game. Like the next game hasn't happened, the game in the past, like we're forgetting about it. We're focusing on this game, and that's all that matters. This game is the most important game of the season. And then she said that every single game to try and get that mentality that, we're not going to make it to the next game. We're not going to make it to the next round, to the next level, whatever it is, until we beat this game. And sometimes it took us a little bit long. Some games took a little longer to realize that message, but we ended up coming out on top again, and it was all teamwork, working together, and overcoming individual and team obstacles.
So you mentioned earlier that you feel as though you've become a pretty good rugby player. Tell me a little bit more about your role with the team.
My personal role that I always see within myself, and I believe my teammates would agree with me, I'm a prop on the team if you know any of the if you know any of the positions. But a lot of my skill sets is I'm a very aggressive player and I'm a skilled tackler. So I strive on defense, and I love it because I've always been an aggressive player as it is. And then when I found rugby, I realized it was a sport for me to utilize that aggressive and athleticism that I've always had. This year, I managed to break a record for Quinnipiac. I made over 200 tackles, which has never happened in rugby career before. So one of my teammates, Emily Roscoff, made sure to make a very large deal the game that my 200th tackle was made. And I still had, I think, 2 games left in the season to try and increase my number of tackles, because I'm very aware that a couple of my teammates now have the potential to break my record, but I'll have it for a year or 2 at least.
What would you tell to someone who was considering, someone who plays other sports who is considering playing rugby? What advice would you give to that person?
Oh, it's amazing, and I'm always going to recommend it, but of course I'm an athlete in the sport, so why wouldn't I recommend it? What I'll say transitioning from one sport to another in general is it's not going to be easy. It's fun to look at someone at the end of their career and see everything that they've accomplished and just want that success. But what isn't shown on camera or what isn't seen to the rest of the world is all of the hard work, all of the blood, sweat, and tears and time, effort during practice, staying after practice, freaking out to your parents that you're not good enough. None of that is shown to the public. So anytime making that transition, and for me it was, of course, to rugby, it's not an easy path, but it's one that's worth taking. You just got to put in the hard work.
All right, Quinnipiac will be finishing up their spring season this Sunday at Brown. They'll have a tournament, and hopefully you guys will have plenty of success this weekend. Jessica, thanks for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.